Okay, so I want to talk about food, and I actually wrote a couple things down. So you'll see me kind of like looking down at the paper to go over some of the things that I've noticed that I've experienced. So, first thing is when you're dealing, for me, being a person that has been overweight for most of her life, dealing with dealing with overeating has been a problem for me. So I've struggled, since a young age, and I decided to tackle my weight for once and for all in 2013. But as anyone who knows that has struggled with obesity or struggled with overeating, it's a daily journey. It's not something that you do and you just get over and you moved on to the next thing. Anytime a person that has struggled with this, a lot of times you'll always struggle with it. So for me, it's certain things that happened in my life last year that triggered me to actually digress instead of progress, instead in terms of my weight loss journey. So I just want to share some tips that I recognized in myself, some repeat behaviors, and I also wanted to just give you some advice as to what you could do to combat these certain things. So I wrote some things down, so you'll see me looking, at the paper every now and then, that I topics that I want to discuss, and just basically letting you know how this cycle has been for me. And if you have a certain cycle, or if you have certain triggers, feel free to share. Or if you have certain advice, or if you have a website that people can go on, feel free to give that information, because as a community, we should be here to share, encourage, and motivate each other. So basically, with me, I was doing pretty well. Like I said, 2013, 2014, I was, I stopped eating the bad foods like chips, candy. Sugar has always kind of been a major problem for me. So, especially when, that time of the month comes on, excuse me, but that, I've learned that my body like unconsciously like craves sugar. And so it wasn't really that bad of a struggle, because I was working out, I was focused, and I was determined. But I began to get in 2014. I went through some struggles at my employer, my job, and then I had some personal things going on with me as well that caused me to go off course. Anyone that knows, struggling with obesity, struggling with overeating, when you have stress that comes into your life and it comes from different factors, a lot of times for us, food is that safe haven. So what I noticed about myself, and I'm going to just share some items with you, I started kind of internalizing my stress. So instead of dealing with it, instead of processing it mentally, it's like I was holding on to that energy. I was just, holding on to it, and it was really affecting me emotionally. And so for me, holding on to this, what do you do with that energy? Whenever we have a fight, whenever we are upset, there's some sort of emotional thing that occurs in our life. How do we deal with that emotional thing? So I thought that, hey, I was working out, I was doing good. I thought that nothing can stop me from my grind or from what I was achieving in life. But I got extremely stressed out. I was working a lot of hours, and I didn't take time to fully process properly what I was doing and how I was handling it. And all of a sudden, I turned back to food. So it began at a small place where let me tell you something. When I went on my weight loss journey, I cut out all that bad stuff. You wouldn't catch me eating anything, mostly no sugars, unless I was eating like fruits or something like that. I would slip some whipped cream in there with cherries, something like that, but nothing like candy. I didn't buy chips. I didn't buy cookies. I stopped completely eating out at fast food. Like if I bought some type of fast food, it would be a salad or either it would be baked chicken or something of that nature. But when I got stressed out and I was dealing with work and I was dealing with my personal life and I was going through so much that sometimes, and for me, I don't know about how y'all deal with stuff, but you can tell me how you deal with stuff. For me, when I got so much going on, sometimes I just physically stop. And then I have all this stress and this energy that what am I supposed to do with it? And I internalized it. And I turn back to food and I turn back to eating the wrong things. And then once you turn back, I'm just looking at my list. Once you turn back to eating those wrong things, you go back to those fatty foods. You go back to a place you didn't want to be emotionally. And you get that false sense of, that false sense of gratitude, that false sense of comfort while you're eating the food. Then the next thing that occurs in your life or during the timeline when you're overeating is guilt. And so you're like, oh my goodness, I ate this food and I feel guilty. And then you see your scales start to climb up. And then honestly, if I would have tackled it at the beginning of the problem, it would have been okay if I just would have tackled it at the beginning. But no. Because when you decide to go down that path, it's like going down a rabbit hole. It's like going down this path that it's like you're going 90 miles per hour and there's nothing stopping you. So it like everything started to trickle over each other. My personal life, my work, and then the fact that I was using food again as an outlet. We can't use food as an outlet. Food is for nutrition. Food is for us to revitalize and energize our body. It's to keep us going. It's our fuel, but it is nothing more than nutrition and fuel. And so when I took on that, I started to feel regret. And then guilt started to follow. And then it's like, oh my goodness, I put on all this weight and I worked so hard to get this weight off. And then I saw my working out start to take a turn because I was still working out, but the working out had dwindled. So it went from 5 to 6 days a week to 3 and 4 days a week. And then let me just mention about my personal part. I was actually dating during this time too. So while I was, seeing this young man, I kind of like, instead of going working out when I could be, after I get off from work, I was going out on a date. And seeing someone that I'll just say that wasn't particularly for me, it was just dating. It kind of, when you allow something to get into your life that is not good for you, or that is an experience that you have to just learn from, and then you're struggling with work, it just kind of compounded on me all at once, and it was very stressful for me to deal with. Now, the guy part wasn't so much as stressful as the work part, because, I feel like with somebody, you're just dating them, you're just getting to know them. It's not really that big of an issue. But anytime you allow somebody or something to take up space in your life that's not positive space, it affects you in some shape or form. That combated with work kind of led me in a headspace that was not clear, that was not clean, and that was not healthy for Constance. So, like I said, I was feeling guilty, I was feeling regret. And then, when you feel that way, you always, let me see here what I wrote. So it brings you back to what you're feeling unconsciously about yourself. So what I've learned is that it's not necessarily the job, it's not necessarily a relationship, it's not necessarily any sort of stressor that you have in your life. It's how you internally feel about yourself. If there's some sort of insecurity that's lingering on in your life, if there's some sort of feeling that you're not good enough, or if something in your life that hurts you from the past, and you're holding on to it, that can cause a trigger in your life that can cause you to go back down a path that you don't want to go down to. So in essence, when you're dealing with food, and when there's stressors in your life, and food is just basically a stress reliever for you, a safety, you have to figure out where the root of that problem is. The root of that problem lies in possibly something in your childhood, something that happened to you a long time ago, something that you're still struggling with internally, that causes you to act negatively towards yourself. So for me, I had to look at myself and say, okay, Constance, because it's not a guy, it's not the job, what am I dealing with, or what haven't I dealt with from my past? What insecurity do I have? What's causing me to go back to food when I know I've come back so far? So that's one thing. You have to deal with yourself. You have to deal with whatever sort of insecurities and problems that you may have internally. And also recognize that food is never a scapegoat for us. So some tips that I like to honestly share, just a couple of tips that is helping me to get back to where I need to be in life, and helping me to grow as a woman, and understand that food is just the surface of whatever problem or whatever issue, or however, it's just a result. But there is an unconscious feeling that we feel about ourselves. There are struggles that we still may be dealing with internally that we haven't acknowledged, or that we have acknowledged, or that we are acknowledging but not dealing with. So what I'm asking you to do today, as I'm doing with myself, is essentially dealing with any insecurity or any sort of problem or hurt or resentment or anything that I haven't dealt with from my past, which is resulting in the surface thing, which is overeating, when you get stressed, or when there's a failure, or when there's something that happens. So how am I combating this? How am I moving forward with my life after coming so far and maybe going a couple steps back? Because it really isn't that far back when I think about the grand scheme of things, because I was close to 500 pounds. So it's not like I went back up to 500 pounds, but I did step back. So what I'm recognizing is just having different coping mechanisms, and having support groups and people around you that will support you and understand where you're coming from, and understand what you're doing with. One thing that I do suggest, if you struggle with overeating, go to a group, go to an Overeaters Anonymous, call a hotline, develop a community, get involved with people who have the same struggles, where you can help each other, where you can call each other. What I also suggest is counseling. I have been through counseling, and I'm going through counseling again. You have to deal with the root issues, so when those things do arise in your life and try to resurface in your life, you will know how to appropriately deal with them. And if you don't feel that you can deal with it by yourself, it's okay to say, I need help. I need to talk to someone else. I really need a friend. I really need a partner. I really need somebody to hold me accountable. It's really good to have an accountability partner. Also, hold yourself accountable. I want you to know that no matter how far you've come, no matter what you've done, you can always be successful. So I don't care what the scale says to you today. If you decide in your mind that I am going to lose this weight, I am going to go on a journey of health, I am not going back, I'm moving forward, that's what you will do. Honestly, for me, what I've done is put up pictures, actually sayings around my apartment. Also in my kitchen, also like on my pantry door, and I'll have stuff that says, that food is not in control of me. I am in control. Food is a source of health. Just positive reinforcements that I read to myself so that it can get in my unconscious. So that's what I'm focusing on when I decide to go for food. Also remember that food is just that, is food. It's for nutrition. So look at it as a source of nutrition, not an outlet for some sort of hurt, pain, or emotional feeling that you're going through. And instead of going to food, go to a positive outlet when you're struggling. Work out. Decide to hang out with a friend. Please don't isolate yourself and get alone and decide to eat a whole bag of chips or cookies or whatever it is. Go to a friend, call your accountability partner. Like I said, start counseling, figure out what the root of the insecurity is and deal with it head on. You have to know that you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. You're powerful, and he's empowered us, and he's encouraged us and motivated us to move on swiftly and know that we should not look back. So don't feel bad if you step back in your life and then you've made a mistake. Anytime you're dealing with overeating, it is something that we have to overcome on a daily basis. And we do have to know how important it is to treat your body with kindness, to love yourself, to respect yourself, to know that you're worthy of dignity and of health and of a healthy and peaceful and happy life. Life is a journey, and no one is perfect. No one out here in this world is living their life 100% perfect and not making any mistakes. We live, we learn, we grow. What I just advise is to deal with whatever issue that you have, deal with it head on, deal with it with confidence, deal with it with courage. I'm here to share my testimony because I want you to know I'm a woman, I'm a human being, and I have struggles too, and I am dealing with my struggles, and I'm honest enough to acknowledge that we all fall down, but we can get up and keep going, keep running, keep believing, keep succeeding. Things in our lives come to us to kind of hinder us sometimes, whether it can be stressors at work, whether it can be stressors in our personal life. Sometimes we are going to experience, things where breaking points and breakdowns and where we feel like giving up or where we make a wrong turn. But what I want you to know, as long as you have breath in your body, as long as you can see, feel, hear, and touch, as long as you have willpower and can think, use the knowledge the Lord has given you. It's wisdom to use that knowledge. I could think about all the things and say, okay, well, I knew what to do, but emotionally, I wasn't dealing with it appropriately. So always check your emotions. Always understand that there is help out there if you desire it, and that you must go on and be strong and move forward in your life and believe in what the Lord says about you. Just wanted to share some words of love, some words of encouragement. I'm here for you if you have any questions about overeating. There's plenty of websites out there. There's plenty of things that you can look at to get you in a positive frame of mind. Just be strong and move forward, because life is so important. And sometimes it's short and it goes by. So do what you can to be good to yourself and be kind and know that you're worthy of love. Again, this is Constance Poetry. I pray that all is well on today and that you have a wonderful and blessed day. And just know that you are loved, you are protected, you are needed, and you are wonderfully and fearfully made through Christ who strengthens you. Be blessed and take care and have a wonderful day. Like, share, and subscribe. Talk to you soon. Bye.